So I am super excited to be here first and foremost. I am so thankful for the space and time because this is something that I'm super passionate about, talking about helping people kind of just move forward in their life with whatever that is. So for me, it's all about let's be here today, let's play, let's be really light about things. And I really hope you take one thing away from our conversation today. So I'm going to kind of share with you what our hour is going to look like. If you pop on for 10 minutes, I just want to say thank you for giving me that 10 minutes. But if you stay on for the whole hour, please let me know kind of what your biggest takeaways are and how you're going to implement these tools and tips into your life. Also, I am very aware that this is the October school break. So if you are, at home with your family and you can't watch it, like make sure you come on the replay and watch it, because I think that it is going to be a valuable session today, because I think I'm going to bring to you something different about when it comes to dealing with obstacles in our life, when it comes to stress management, when it comes to kind of like parent guilt. These are all things that we experience. So if you can't make it, because of the October break, make sure you come back, because I know that you're going to find so much value in this. Okay, so I'm just going to ask Heather if you could mute the Weevolution side just so we don't get feedback. That'd be super helpful. All right, cool. So guys, let's pop onto it. Let's kind of go to a place of where we've all been. If you're here as well, say hi to me in the comments, because I can see you on Facebook and I would love to be able to say hi to you. And also, if you have questions, I want to make sure that you use this space, because I'm here and I'm yours for an entire hour. So super, super excited. Okay, so we're going to dive in. So I'm about to hit y'all with something that you get hit with every day of your life. And we are going to look at how do we even start to overcome obstacles? What are obstacles in our life? What are the emotions that obstacles bring? Is it heavy for us? Does it help us grow? Does it help us kind of build our character? Or does it set us back? Does it put us into a place of shame or guilt or like confusion about what life is? And I am going to be diving into all that right now. So let's even dive into it. If you even have anything that pops up for you in the comments, put it in the comments. And I am really aware, I want to know what your obstacles in your life are. I'll go ahead and share with you some things that, me as a 40-year-old woman, I know I only don't look 40, y'all. So, just give me some hearts if you think I don't look 40, or give me some like down if you do think I look 40. Actually, 40 is fine to look 40, because what does that even mean, right? So obstacles in my life, I mean, it has been genuinely a place of ups and downs. And like, sometimes I think, oh my gosh, there's no way I'm going to be able to overcome this obstacle in my life. And especially when it comes to parenting, like so many things get thrown our way in parenting, like, gosh, the pregnancy to start off with. Sometimes the pregnancy is not even straightforward. And if you're guys on here, you can see your partner going through these things as well. But also you are like, how do I manage my life? How do I support things? And or we can look at, our job. Are we happy with our job? Are we able to do our job? Are we managing our time right? Obstacles can be, tragedies, like, are you grieving? Have you lost somebody that you really love? It could be your own, your personal self. So like our weight issues, like, hello, how many of us have weight issues? And we go like this, we go up and down, up and down, up and down. And we start all the time with different ways to kind of try to overcome these issues that we have. Or even the issues of confidence. I mean, that is a huge obstacle that so many of us face. So I want you to feel that vibe of like obstacles, and how if you feel like you have obstacles in your life, I just want to say thank you for being completely 100% human right now. Hello, we all have them. But the tricky part is like, how do we overcome those? And are we supposed to overcome those? And what do those mean? And that's the kind of things I'm going to dive into right now, is the meaning that we actually give obstacles, because this might blow your mind, because today we're going to actually look at how do we soften our obstacles? How do we make our obstacles feel like they're actually here for us and not against us? How do we turn our mindset around to think, you know what? I've been able to manage this obstacle and I'm going to be super curious to see how I move forward with it. I'm not going to disconnect myself, but this is something that, I'm going to genuinely make this obstacle work for me in my life. By the way, if you're here, make sure you get some water, make sure you get some coffee, because I've got a hot coffee here. I'm going to take these off just so my glasses don't steam up. Okay, so my glasses have been steaming up because I've been, I don't know how it works with all these hot things and your glasses get all steamy and foggy and the mask thing, Lord. So that's an example of an obstacle that I've been able to overcome because I was curious. I wasn't just like, oh my gosh, I hate these glasses. Every time they get steamy, I just lose a plight. I don't know how. So I problem solve. I get curious. That's just a on the spot obstacle that I wanted to share with you. So we have different kinds of obstacles, and I'm going to go through the different kinds of obstacles that we have. I actually have some notes here just because I wanted to give you so much value today. So we have, first of all, external obstacles. So whatever I say, I want you to put your feet into my shoes, and I want you to feel where this shows up for you in your life. So external obstacles are, obstacles that are outside of your control, such as COVID, such as the economy, natural disasters, climate change. These are all things that are kind of like external. This is like the universe's stuff that's going on. Then we have internal obstacles. And I think this will really relate to a lot of you because we all have these. And internal obstacles, these obstacles are generally one-time issues, but you have direct control over them. So like your cash flow, your time availability, your needed skills or your talents, these are all internal obstacles that we have. And the last one are like, it's like their obstacles, habitual obstacles. So these are obstacles that reflect how people get in their own way, and they can only be removed by behavioral change. So a lot of us experience these habitual, obstacles, but I'm going to make it a little bit simpler because I think everyone watching today, you will love the simplicity. These are kind of like scientific obstacles, but if I look at obstacles in the world, they come from three places. And this is where I talk about like, these three places are places that hold a lot of power in our lives. So the first place is yourself, right? So imagine a bubble. If you can just imagine a bubble for me, a circle, and imagine you're in that circle, okay? Then you have another circle, which is like other people. It's like your friends, your family, external voices around you, that kind of thing. That's other people. So you, other people, other things, right? And then you have the universe's things. So that's where that's the same thing as the external obstacle. So, COVID, you lost your job, it's things that you have no control over. It's kind of like God's thing. Like it happens. So you've got your power, their power, and the universe's power. And what tends to happen when we are facing obstacles, you guys, is your power starts to go other places. So for example, let's say, for example, that I got a phone call and somebody like was really mean to me and they were, saying really negative things. And I started to get really irritated and feeling like I was going to have a panic attack, or like I just was really angry. What happened was my power went to their power. So I gave them my power. Okay. So I just want you to sit with this and I want you to think of how does this show up in your life? And also put questions, put some hearts, give me a one if you understand what I'm talking about. So you got your own power, you got their power. So for example, like I said, that person called me and I was just like, and I did talk about this the last section about kind of like somebody driving and giving them your power, but I want to refresh that memory for you. So their power, and then you got the universe's power. So say, for example, you wake up in the morning, okay, and you are like, you hear rain outside and you open your blinds, you're like, oh man, it is raining again. I can't even believe this. This is going to be a horrible day because I can't go outside. And literally you're angry, you're irritated, and you genuinely have given your power up to the universe. Or like okay, this is a great example because this happened with one of my friends. One of my friends, she went shopping at the local grocery store. And with COVID right now, there's a lot of restrictions. And there's like the arrows pointing up the aisle, and it's like only way that you can go. And she's like, yeah, this guy was walking down and I was going up and he was going the wrong way. And I couldn't believe it. And I was going around the whole grocery store and I was so mad. And I'm like, you totally gave him your power. She's like, oh my gosh, I totally gave him my power. And it was one of those things where it's like this light bulb moment of, oh my gosh, how do I get my power back? And that is the awesome thing about me sharing how we're going to overcome some of the obstacles first with holding your power. So the first thing is to realize, where do you give your power? Who do you give your power to? And that alone is like the power of self-awareness. And that's one of the coping strategies when it comes to, overcoming obstacles that we will talk about a little bit more in detail. But the first step is to really identify, where are we giving our power? Like, who are we giving it to? Are we giving it to other people, our family members? Or are we giving it to our dirty house when we wake up and we're like, oh my gosh, this house is looking crazy, or the dishes are crazy? Or even let's look at being a parent. This is all about juggling parenting and passions. And say, for example, our kids wake up in a grumpy mood, right? Our kids wake up in a grumpy mood and we're like, don't even go there. And then we're like, oh my gosh, today is such a bad day because they're screaming and shouting. Well, what's just happened is we've given our power over to our kids. They have taken our power. We have given them our power. And realize the words that I'm even using here, giving your power and taking your power. And that's a really important one that I want you to know, because in reality, when we, a lot of people talk about like people that take their energy, like the negative vampires, that they drain all the positivity out of them. And the more you can become aware of your own self-leadership, the more that you can actually realize nobody can take your power. You can only give your power. And that is a very, like, give me some hearts right now if you're watching this and you're just like, actually, there's a little truth in that. There is a lot of truth in that, but until you realize that, you might not fully understand it. We give our power to other people, to other things, to situations in life. And it takes us to a state that maybe we don't want to go to. So the whole self-awareness thing is probably one of the first tools that I want to share with you that I think is really valuable when it comes to overcoming obstacles in our life. Hold your power. And if you're able to hold your power, it is literally like insane. I just realized I'm not even on my thing, so I can't even see who's on here. Oh, perfect, cool. So Laura's here, Cheryl's great. Cheryl's here. Hey, girl. Another Laura. Emma's here. Thank you so much. I'm so excited that you guys are here first and foremost. I really appreciate it. Sorry, I couldn't see it, who was on here. But it's interesting when we start to identify where we're giving our power, who we're giving it to, and most importantly, why we're doing it. Because really, we're conditioned to give our power away. It's something we're taught as little people. It's like, she made me so upset, or like, how dare he? Or we start to blame people. And all of a sudden, our power starts to go. And it's pretty much kind of like, it's kind of like, say I'm a teacher, I'm a teacher. Let me just get a quick sip. Hold on. Sorry. So, it's so hot, by the way. It's so good. So pretend I'm a teacher, okay? And I'm like writing on the whiteboard. And I'm writing on the whiteboard and I'm just like that, here's I'm doing math. Here's the square root of 95 and, times 500, blah, blah, blah. And I hear a student say something really mean, and I get really irritated, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, how dare he? I can't believe he's doing that. Maybe I'm actually not a smart teacher. Maybe I shouldn't be up here. And all of a sudden, I'm not able to finish this, this problem that I've been writing on the board. What's happened is I've pretty much given this pen to my student. I've pretty much given that student all my power. And I start to lose my ability to problem solve. I start to lose my ability to follow my skills and my awesome characteristics that I have as a person because I've given somebody my power. However, for us to be in that state of mind about taking personal accountability about when it comes to our power, is a huge thing, guys. This is like the power of self-leadership. This is why I love to talk about it so much because it is incredible what can happen when we start to kind of embrace our self-awareness. Because if we don't see the obstacle or if we don't believe, the hindrance of the obstacle, then we'll never be able to reach our goals. We'll never be able to reach our potential in life. We'll never be able to really fulfill the joy and the happiness that we are entitled to as human beings because we're constantly giving everybody our power. And I want you to imagine, what would life look like if you decided to hold your power? If you decided to, really be true to yourself and say, today when I wake up, this is how I'm showing up. Because I am the person driving my car. I have the keys to my car. I am not giving the keys to anybody else to let them drive, but it's me. I'm the one that's going to be driving my car. So, every day, if you find yourself blaming people, if you find yourself kind of like, he should have, she should have thing, or anything like that, you are giving your power away. And I just want you to kind of like have a daily awareness about where your power is going. And I know with my clients, for example, I always say like, today I really want you to be aware of your power because I want you to power up your potential. So Invincible Grits, their tagline is like power up your potential. And that's what I'm all about. So holding your power is just like it's like a superpower strength that you have within. And the more that you do that, the more you are going to be able to totally rock up as your true self because you're going to be like that. I'm taking my power back. So you might be wondering, how do I even start to begin to take my power back? And, this question here is like, there's no answer, like right or wrong. But I want to share some tips with you that I find super beneficial when it comes to holding my power or even taking my power back. And it looks like this. So I'm in the situation and I am just like, what am I feeling? So if I'm feeling any frustration or stress or anxiety or panic or even depression, I start to kind of question like, where is that coming from? So again, one, identify the whole self-awareness thing. Where is that coming from? Okay, so my kids have been, really loud and I'm annoyed. So I feel annoyed. I realize that I'm annoyed with my kids. And this is exactly what I say to myself. I say to myself, what would it look like if I took my power back? How do I want to show up? Who is that person? How would they be acting if they took their power back? And I step into those shoes. And I used to always look for permission from other people to do this, but when I realized that I was the only person that had the full power to hold my power, I was just like, this is really just a permission thing for me. This is a permission thing for me to say, I'm the driver of my car. I'm the driver of my life. Give me the keys back, kind of thing. I'm taking the keys back because I know that I've got a choice. And it's interesting when, whenever you can start to genuinely put your hand up and be like, oh crap, yes, somebody else has made a mistake. And, everybody's human, everybody makes a mistake, or I've made a mistake, or my kids have made a mistake, whatever. And we stop blaming and we just go, okay, that's the reality. And now I'm going to choose how I want to show up. I'm going to choose my response because I'm personally responsible for my own joy and happiness. That, okay, that's my reality. So I kind of just identify. I transfer my power. I go, okay, you've got it, and I'm totally taking it back. I've given it to you, and this is how I want to show up. And I genuinely carry on with my day in a way that really serves me. So that is really, to overcome those obstacles, I've mastered self-awareness. So that's kind of the first thing that I want you to master is really start to master your self-awareness of where you've been in your life, how you're showing up, um, and, take your power back. Like, you don't need my permission, but I give it to you if you feel like you need it. Genuinely take it back. And it's so awesome when you can start to go, oh, I've given somebody my power and now I've taken it back. And you get this strength within yourself. You get this confidence. You get this whole thing of, I got this because I'm not giving them my power. It's like an empowering feeling. It's really inspiring. And when you do that, you also give other people permission to take their power back too. I teach this to all my clients and they're kind of mind blown because, it's always like this blame and shame game of like, it's their fault. They did this, they messed up. So I have to act like this. And it's like, actually, reality is you don't. The reality is you get to drive your car of your life. You get to be the one who is making the choices and the decisions, regardless of any external, circumstance. And I'll never forget one of my first coaches, Jason, always taught me that, you know, you are so much greater than any circumstance. Like your ability to create, your ability to problem solve, your ability to be curious is so much greater than any external circumstance. I'm like, what does that mean? And I remember kind of like the first stages when I was doing personal development. One of my friends was getting evicted from her house and she was just like, super depressed and, felt like her life was over. And I remember like telling Jason this, and he was just like, he's like, really help her to understand, like, that's external circumstance. Like, no matter what happens outside of you, don't let it take your power. So when she understood, yeah, she doesn't have a house, but she can still choose to feel happy and still choose to feel less stress, her life started changing. She started going, okay, so I don't have this house, so I need a problem solve to get another house. Therefore, let's break down the small steps to help me achieve these small goals. She took her power back and she felt happier. Kids were happier. It's one of those things where the more we just really get our self-awareness and have that reality check of where is the power going? Let me reel it. It's like a fishing pole. Like, you're fishing and somebody catches it and they have it, but you're like, heck no, you're not holding that. You reel it back in and you hold your power. Super awesome. And I can't wait to see, like, give me a 1 in the comments or some hearts in the comments if this is resonating with you, or if you have any questions. Let's see. Laura says, let me just see more. I got called into college today to collect something. When I got there, they said they couldn't find me. So they had to contact other people, but I left and it's annoyed. And I was annoyed inside. I was saying things like, they wasted my time. They knew I was coming. I'm not going back. But then I realized I was doing it and I put a stop to it. So I didn't escalate as it wasn't their fault. They never received any information. Okay, awesome. So I love that, Laura. And there's something about, the realization of like, dude, this happened, but like the way I respond is going to be this. I'm not responding to a situation. I am responding to how I want to show up. I'm responding to how I choose to show up in this life, because nobody has a gun to my head telling me that I have to be this nuclear reactor. I have to blow up. It's nobody has a gun to our head telling us we have to act a certain way. And it is so freeing. I promise you, it is so freeing when we decide to take the handcuffs off of ourselves and be like, dude, I surrender. Like, I'm choosing happiness, man. And it's like not even about positivity. It's not like, oh my gosh, I'm going to pretend I'm happy. It's more about, yes, this is so cool that I actually get to create my day today. And if that means this, then that means this, because I'm the creator of it. I am not letting these external circumstances dictate how I feel. So what are the ways that we even start to do that? Okay. We start to get curious. We start to ask ourselves, like, what is it? We are so curious about, like, all the obstacles that are going on in our lives. We start to question them. Like, what are they? First and foremost, what are your obstacles, right? Identifying them, becoming self-aware of like what's going on. The curiosity part is so key though, because like all leaders are so curious. All leaders are always talking about like, how do I play my part in this? Because, if it's an obstacle, like I have to think differently. The more you think differently, the more possibility of solutions you're going to have in front of you. if you find yourself sitting, and all of us do this, like all of us, trust me, been there, done that. If all of us sit in a place of like self-pity or guilt or shame, we start to kind of just spiral more and more down. And I want you to be really gentle with yourself when I'm saying this, because a lot of us experience it. And I do too. Coffee break. When we're kind of in that pity party mode because we have an obstacle that feels really heavy. Let's just take, for example, we can't pay our bills, or our house is really messy. Okay, this is really bringing it back to basics because all of us experience this again. We're all in this together. All of us have obstacles. There's hardly any people that don't have obstacles in their life. But when we can identify these obstacles in our lives and we feel like it's just so much, it feels really heavy. Can we just identify that emotion really quickly? Like, what does that feel like for you? You could, I mean, gosh, you could be like 7 months pregnant and feel fat, and you could feel like, you're not this person that's out there doing their exercise like you used to be, and you start to feel like, oh my God, I'm not that person. I'm not getting my exercise. I don't like how I look right now. I feel heavier. Obviously you are, because you have a baby inside you. However, we can really get into this place of, oh my gosh, I'm feeling sorry for myself, which is you're so entitled to these emotions. But what you can do is you can start to call these emotions out. Be like, okay, right now I feel like this. And what I want you to do, and this is something you probably have never heard before, whatever you're feeling kind of like that pity over, when I use the word pity, by the way, please don't feel defensive. I want you to this is just a teaching. When I say the word, you feel like you're in a pity party, you're feeling sorry for yourself. Like I experienced this probably like a month ago when I think Maya was in the hospital, and my life just, my dad had died, and I felt it was a lot, right? I remember sitting on the couch, and my husband will tell you this was like a funny moment. I was sitting on the couch. I'm like, Grant, can you go buy me some ice cream? And he's like, okay. And he came in and he had bought one of those cookie dough, or no, it was a peanut butter Haagen Dogs, or was it Ben and Jerry's? It was one of those. And it was like it was like the expensive one, like, it's like £5 for a container. And it was like something that you genuinely see on a movie. Like, I was feeling sorry for myself. I was on the couch with a tub of ice cream. I was like, I don't even want a bowl. Just get me a spoon, kind of thing. And I was like digging out all the peanut butter. I was leaving the ice cream. I was digging all the peanut butter chunks out. And it was one of those funny things because I bust out laughing, even though I was feeling super sorry for myself. And I was saying, oh my gosh, this is what I saw. This is what I see on TV, because this is how people show, this is how they handle their pity and their shame and their guilt and their overwhelmed emotions. They numb the pain with something else. And I just want to question you and challenge you to think about, what are the ways that you numb pain or emotions when you're starting to feel overwhelmed? It could be food, it could be alcohol, it could be drugs, it could be porn, it could be shopping, it could be isolating, so you're totally by yourself, it could be exercising. There's so many different numbing factors when it comes to our emotions that, again, the more that we invite our emotions to the table and be like that, hey, you're part of me, man, you got to come to the table. I'm inviting you here because, you know what? I'm going to really be your friend. I'm going to be, now when I say your friend, I don't mean like I'm taking you on board and I'm going to sit there and love you like, oh my gosh, yes, I'm holding you and I know I feel sorry for you too, kind of thing. But it's going to be like, you know what? I'm not brushing you under the carpet. I am literally lifting that rug up because I want to see the dirt under the carpet. I am not trying to hide anything. I'm not trying to get emotions away. I want to invite you to the table, kind of thing. Because when we can do that, it kind of I want to challenge you to this too. I want to invite you to think about, how do you start to soften the obstacles that you're facing in your life? So I think I said about paying bills and cleaning your house. So if that feels like an overwhelming obstacle in your life, and you're totally giving your power to the house because the house is crazy, or you're giving your power to the bills because you're just like, oh my gosh, I can't afford those. And then you get your letter and you rip it up, or you just never open it, been there, done that, by the way. Those feel really heavy. So when I invite you to think about what would your life look like if you brought those emotions that you experienced to the table, imagine just sitting there and being like, okay, so this is what I want you to kind of like be with me in this space. Um, all right, how does it feel with my house being dirty? I feel overwhelmed. And feel free to write in the comments as well, you guys. I feel overwhelmed. I feel embarrassed. I feel like I'm not worthy to have my friends over. I feel like I just feel super like just claustrophobic because I don't know where to start. I'm so overwhelmed. It feels stressful. I feel angry at myself for letting it get this way, or I feel judged. I feel like I have no self-confidence. And I'm starting to just get myself into a place of not feeling good. Okay. What if you were to genuinely look at all those emotions? So you've invited all those emotions to the table and you've sat with them. Well, what happens with, let me tell you a scientific thing really quickly. When our brain experiences overwhelm and emotion, what happens is our actual brain cells, they start to kind of deconstruct, right? And this is the part, what can happen is we can go into a depression where we feel so swamped, or we can actually like look at the benefit of being creative and curious with the overwhelmed obstacles, that we start to kind of creatively problem solve, and our brain cells actually regrow and they build and they strengthen our brain. Now when we get to like 40 years old, our brains start to, like, our muscle mass, for example, start to deteriorate. So I want to invite you to think about our brain actually strengthening when we have obstacles and we face emotions, because we're giving it an opportunity to rebuild and regrow. And who doesn't want to have a better brain? Of course we do. So the more obstacles you have, the more you face them, you actually will have, you will have no new growth in your brain cells, which is an amazing thing. I think that's actually a really big positive when it comes to dealing with obstacles in our life. Inviting our obstacles to the table and just being gentle with them, and just seeing them and not judging them, but just calling them out gives you power. You're taking your power back. And then asking yourself about the power of choice, like, where do I want to go from here? What are some small steps that I can start to take to break this obstacle down? So one, you've named it and shamed it. Two, you brought the emotions to the table. And three, we're going to reframe your approach to this obstacle. You're going to say to yourself, how do I make this obstacle work for me and not against me? How do I soften it to where it's going to help me grow? It's going to help my brain cells grow. It's going to help me grow as a person. And I'm going to be able to, like, one, start a really small plan of action to take control of the situation. Two, I'm going to call on help and support. So if you're watching this and you're in a self-reliant group with Weevolution, then it's genuinely like a thing about, hey, can somebody help me? Like, I don't even know where to start. And I know there's a lot of girls in self-reliant groups who are the best and most amazing organizers and just kind of problem solvers when it comes to like home, efficiency and kind of cleaning and stuff like that. So it's a very interesting thing to go, oh my gosh, how am I going to use this? And I was looking up some things the other day around like, obstacles and resistance, and it was so interesting to really like look at even the word resilience when it comes to obstacles. We, the more things that we go through, and I always say this because you guys, a lot of you know that I've experienced some really traumatic things in my life. Once I've learned how to take my power back and really use those things to help me grow as a human, I become this new version of Marion. And I want you to think about yourself, like, what would a 2.0 version of you look like? What would a 2.0 version of, you know, that person you want to be look like? What would they be doing? How would they be acting? And give yourself permission to do that. Give yourself permission to gently play and to create and to like disattach yourself from whatever that obstacle is, because the more curious you are, the more you are going to kind of be able to find solution. You're not going to be problem focused. You're going to be solution focused. And that is so empowering. I'm just looking at the time. Oh my gosh, how is the time going so fast? Okay, hold on. Perfect. Okay. So I'm going to really try to hurry up here. So we talked about overcoming and, overcoming your obstacles. So the self-awareness, the identifying, and then also the reframing. So who would I be without that thought? Who would I be if I was to soften it up, if I was to invite all my emotions to the table? Because again, identifying that is like, it's, if it's harming you, if your obstacle is harming you, then it's not serving you. We got to be really solution focused here. Start small. I said that, be curious, like, why is your obstacle there? Is it reoccurring? Is it a habit in your life? Therefore, it's not you that's the problem, it's your strategy that's the problem. So when we even look at, like I said, the bills or the housework, it's overwhelming, it's getting on top of you. Don't attach yourself to that, because that's external. Attach yourself to the strategy. How are you making it work for you? How are you doing things differently? And I think that's a really, really game changer aspect when it comes to overcoming the obstacles that are in our life. And if I can just take you back to the basics as well, and this ties in a lot with, I'm going to hit parent guilt, the last section, but I want to talk a little bit about stress management and like stress management techniques. The thing is, if you're watching this, you probably know all of these, but I just want to refresh your brain, refresh your memory, and think about, when are you not feeling stressed? What's happening in your life when you're not feeling stressed? Because if we can start to identify these things, we're identifying things that lights us up, things that bring us passions, things that bring us joys. And when we can identify the stuff that makes us feel stressed, then it's really clearly identifying where we want to be versus where we don't want to be. And sometimes me, for example, I really invite stress in my life. I invite obstacles, because it's like a new opportunity for me to create solutions, for me to problem solve, for me to kind of think bigger than I have been thinking, because I know it helps my brain to grow. And this might sound really crazy to you guys, but give me some hearts right now if you could understand. So living in the personal development world and being a coach, I help people with problems. That is kind of what we focus on. When that happens in my own life, I implement a lot of my teachings that I teach to myself, and I try to self-coach, and I go to my coach and I say, hey, can we work through this? And the number one thing is always bringing your truth. So always bringing, like, fully bringing your truth, because if you don't bring your truth, there's no room for growth, because you're lying to yourself or you're lying to other people with your obstacles. You're stagnant. So bringing your truth, again, allows you to get support from your group members, allows you to get some support even from other organizations, or even if you were to go to Weevolution, for example, and say, hey, I need support with this business stuff, because like it's a lot, and I'm really trying to juggle, my family life and my business, and it's just, I can't seem to manage my time, or I can't seem to get the finances right, or whatever that is for you. But the more honest you are, the more support that you're able to get. So to overcome obstacles, again, is about being really truthful with yourself, and reaching out and saying, hey, I'm really struggling right now. Like, could anybody give me some support? And again, when you call out struggle, now pay attention to this. When you call out struggle, you are not hiding it. You're not sweeping it under the rug. You're being like, hey, I need some help here, man. And the more lightheartedness, the more fun that you can bring into that, the more support is going to come your way. But if you just literally, and this is all about commitment to yourself, about commitment to showing up to be the best version of yourself. If you wake up in the morning and you're just like, you know what, I can't face it today, and you want to put those blankets right over your head and not face the day, you're going to be stagnant, you're going to be stuck, and you're not going to grow. But if you actually wake up and say, you know what, I am committed to leaning into these obstacles in my life. I am committed to, really, really seeking discomfort today, because I'm looking forward to growing as a human being. Your life will change. And I can guarantee you that your life will change, because you will become a problem solver. You will become a bigger thinker than your own issues. you will kind of go from a place of true, ego that you're just like, this is really hard, to a place of service because you're like, I want to do better in the world. I want to be able to juggle what lights me up, and I want to be able to juggle, all these extra things that I'm doing and look after my children. Therefore, the problem becomes way bigger than just you. And you can change to a service point of view to be like, you know what? I'm doing this because I deserve better. I am bringing my comfort. I am jumping in. I am jumping into that discomfort because I'm going to grow until it becomes more comfortable in my life. There's so many amazing people, especially, in the SRG, the Weevolution movement. There's a lot of people with a lot of skills and knowledge. Not even that, there's a lot of people with empathy and compassion and understanding that life is challenging. Life is not, it's not an easy thing, especially right now, during COVID. We are in the unknown part of our world right now. We are literally having to kind of like go in and out and make things work for us because a lot's going on. But unless we face it, unless we say, hey, this doesn't feel right for me, or, how do you do it? Show me your ways. Unless we get support from other ways, it doesn't increase or enhance our ability to grow. And you deserve it. You deserve to be able to grow. You are a beautiful person with lots of potential. And the more that you can look at your obstacles and look at them and go, I see you. You're going to work for me. I'm not going to work for you, is a magical, magical gift that, again, not only will transform your life, it will transform your kids' lives. And then that will actually reach out into a larger scale in society. Really magical, guys. And again, it's all about the power of self-leadership. It's about embracing self-awareness and just saying, you know what? I have a choice here. Soften your obstacles, lean into your discomfort, and reframe your mindset and the form on how you actually show up for these obstacles. So yeah, that's kind of like the overcoming obstacle parts. Give me a 1 in the comments, guys, if that's resonating with you. Give me lots and lots of hearts, please. Cheryl says, I can be guilty of self-blame. Girl, yes, you can. However, take your power back. Every time you hear something negative or every time you hear self-blame, like just bring it in and go, you know what? I see you, I hear you, but that's not what I choose today. That's not what I'm ever going to choose. It's kind of like having a baseball bat, right? And like every time like a baseball comes towards you, you're getting your bat, you're being like, boom, home run out the park. I'm not holding you. I'm not catching you in my glove right now. Home run, boom. And you know what? You can have a strike, you can have a foul ball, you can whatever. But most important thing is you are not leaving that batter's box. You're going to just keep swinging. You're going to keep hitting whatever comes your way, because that's what we do as resilient problem solvers. We are leaders, and we are going to lead our own lives. We're going to actually be, the drivers of our own car in life. Okay, so let's move on to kind of like, I'll go to some stress management techniques. Again, this is nothing new, guys, but like, think about what actually gets you de-stress. Things like music, for example, in the morning, putting on some music, putting on some mindfulness stuff, like just go on YouTube. These are all small practical tools. Go on YouTube every morning. Like if I'm kind of like come to my laptop or something, I'll put on like morning chill out music, right? Or if I know I'm going to be in the kitchen cleaning, I'll pop on some Whitney Houston or, whatever, like to get me hype. So the state of mind has a big thing. So music, outside and fresh air, like it's so huge. Like I can't tell you, I'm doing a 100-day challenge right now for walking. And it's really, really simple. It's not raising money for charity, or it's not like getting involved in anything else except for you for 100 days. So join up for that if you want to, but get outside and get fresh air, go for walks, get your endorphins going, get your serotonin. There's all these different health effects, right? But most importantly, it's about getting into action and looking at consistency in your life. It reduces your stress naturally. It's like a natural stress relief. Fresh air, vitamin D, all these things are just so good for you. So let's go back to basics when it comes to relieving stress in your life. Communication, reaching out, talking to people, connecting with your friends. If you can't go out because you're isolating or something, get creative, make Zoom appointments, connect with people online, pick up the phone. Talking about phones and releasing and reducing your stress. Why don't you plan on having a detox like once a week from your phone for 5 hours? Or giving yourself a cutoff with really clear boundaries around reducing the time in the morning or the time at night when you are actually handling your phone. Like, start to create boundaries around detoxing from, any form of your phone, social media, if that brings you stress. Read a book, sit and just get yourself really present, or just have some like alone time and just like sit there and just listen to the birds, listen to the music, have a bath, have a shower, like watch a movie, whatever that is for you. And you are going to know what works for you, but intentionally plan it, intentionally give yourself that space and that time to know that you are going to that space because you are looking to kind of clear any negative vibes from your energy. You're looking to kind of chill out and work on your being, because everything external, it doesn't matter. It matters how you show up. It matters what your energy is. Okay, that's a really, really just small things to reduce your stress. All of you guys know what your stress management tools are. The most important thing is just making sure you're committing to yourself and committing a time to actually do those things. Hold yourself accountable as well. Put reminders in your phone, in your diary, in your calendar, so that you're really committing and being like, dude, I'm doing this for me because I'm super excited to grow and show up as the best version of myself. Hopefully that resonates with you. I'm so excited. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining on. The last part that I'm going to talk about is parent guilt. And the reason that I left this to last is because I thought it was so important how we face this, and a lot of us don't talk about it. So if you have any experience with parent guilt, like, please write in the comment what your experience is, and we'll kind of like go from there. Also, make sure you're drinking your water. Okay. So I'm currently doing about maybe 3 or 4 different parenting coaching courses right now for different schools. And a lot of things come up around parent guilt and how do we juggle parent guilt with like our passions and life in general. So what parent guilt really means to a lot of parents, and this is just from research from like hundreds of parents, is, you know, I feel bad like taking time for myself because I should be doing something with my kids, or I shouldn't be spending money on myself. I should be spending it on the kids, or I'm not going to join a group because I'll take more time away from the kids and I won't be able to time to clean the house and I won't have time to do this and this. And you start to feel a lot of guilt. Like, this is one of the number one things that I coach parents around. And it's all about mindset. It's all about actually like, what does that really mean for you as a mom overall, or a dad overall? Like, what does that really mean for you? Because the more that we invest in ourselves, the better we show up for our children, the better we show up for our groups, the better we show up for our families overall. And it's interesting, I'd love to know what your definitions of parent guilt are. But when we say that, sometimes it's not so much parent guilt, it's more about, it is parent guilt, but it's more about like excuses. And when I say excuses, it's about like blocking yourself from genuinely fulfilling your own potential in life. So I want you to really think about, and you've heard this example so many times, but I'll refresh your memory. Like, you're on a plane and the plane's going down and you're there and your kid's there. And they always tell you to put your own mask on first before you help your child. And the reason for that is because if we're losing oxygen and you're trying to like, get your kid's mask on, but you have no oxygen, how can you serve your kid because you have no control of yourself? And if you don't have kids and you're watching this, I want to invite you to think about, how are you taking care of yourself so you can show up for other people in your world? How are you taking care of yourself so you can show up as the best version of you? Because this is a big one. This is I could probably do a whole section on this one, because we talk about self-worth and we talk about like just overall, what are we supposed to be doing in this world? How are we supposed to be feeling? How are we at peace and content with our own life? Where are our vibes in our life? Because if we feel like we don't have time to kind of join a group, or if we feel like we don't have time to make group meetings, or if we feel like we don't have time to go for a walk, what are we doing? What are the points of kind of like, how are we taking care of ourselves? And what are we teaching our kids? And that's one of the biggest highlights that I want to really show you is, you know, being an entrepreneur. And I know if you're part of Weevolution, you're probably in the entrepreneurial spirit, but working 100 hours, a week, and like, trust me, been there, done that as well. And I've had to cap it and have boundaries, because when we commit so much to something else and we start to get drained, we start to lose our ability to kind of function as a whole. We are so tired that we're giving all of our energy to something where we should be balancing it. So I guess one of my questions to you would be, what does balance look like for you in your life? What does um, showing up for yourself look like in your life? What is that? Where could you give yourself more time and still be a mom and dad? What do you feel like you owe yourself? So for me, getting outside is so, so, so important that I have made that a priority for myself every day for the next 100 days. For an hour, I'm going out a walk by myself. Is that selfish? This is their October break. And, I could be thinking maybe I should take them out somewhere, or, I'll just skip today and I'll take them somewhere. But in reality, what really happens is, I know for me to be like feeling at my best, I have to really fulfill the commitments that I make to myself so that I can be feeling true and in integrity with myself. So I want you to think about what that is for you. Because the more you prioritize yourself, your health, your mental health, your overall wellness, the world is going to get a beautiful you. The world is going to get that person that you genuinely are, that, your being is so lit up that you are just rocking it, and you are just genuinely in a place of you authentically, not in a place of like, feeling tired or feeling overwhelmed or feeling like you can't cope, because you're making time for yourself. Helen says, happy mom, happy children. Oh my gosh, 1,000,000%. Yes, so true. So think about what makes you happy in your life. And I really want you to honor that. And I want you to focus on commitment. That's my challenge to you today, is focus on commitment. One, to leaning into your obstacles, and two, really sitting with yourself and saying, what does it look like for you to show up feeling like you're ready to tackle whatever comes your way? What are you committed to fulfilling every day that you get up? Like, what is that for you? So I know for me, like I said, it's about going out for a walk. It's about having really clear boundaries with my work schedule. It's about making sure I have time with my husband, about making sure that we have, one-on-one time with each of our kids. And it's just all about finding balance in our world. Because if we're off balance, like literally, if we like go off balance, things start to break, things start to fall apart, and it can get overwhelming very, very quickly. But if you keep it small and sweet, if you keep it to where you're like looking at your goals, you're looking at, what are the things that make me feel good, and you start to check that box. And even if things don't feel good, but you have to get them done, maybe it's a case of like asking yourself your why. So like your mini why or something like that is like, why should I do the dishes? Well, I know that for me to do the dishes and for my kitchen to be clean, I know it makes me feel really good and happy. So that's my motivation. You're kind of creating your own motivation by doing these things. And, if you can see, if you can see something that you have in front of you that feels really heavy, and you're just like that, how am I going to get over that obstacle? I would focus so much on your inner being and how you're showing up to it, not so much on what you're doing, like practically, but like your approach to it. Like, it's kind of like when you, the energy that you're bringing to, I think is so crucial in how we actually start to handle situations. We're so taught in life that stress is supposed to be so serious and that stress is supposed to be so overwhelming, and that the bills that we can't pay or having the messy house is supposed to make us feel so bogged down and like out of control. What if we flipped it? What if we were actually like that? Okay, so I can't pay my bills. My house is dirty. However, I'm going to lean into it. I'm going to do my best that I can. I'm going to start to really, really small practical steps on how to reach out for support, make a game plan on how I move forward with these things. I'm going to take more control of my life. Even though this is crazy and chaotic, I'm going to lean into it a little bit more. I'm not hiding from it anymore. I'm facing it head on. I am taking responsibility for how I show up in reaction, like my reactions toward these things. I got this. And that whole mentality of I've got this, I've got support, it's not all about me. You're going to get out of it. You're going to show up as that best version of you. You are going to become, feeling whatever you want to feel because you create it. Empowering and inspiring is like literally what the next version of yourself looks like. 2.0 version, what is that for you? I'm kind of like on Marion 4.0 right now. Like I've been through so many different stages and I always name them. So like when I hit 40, I was like, okay, this is Marion 4.0. And a lot of us compare our life like back then and we're like, oh my gosh, remember when I didn't have kids and I did this and I worked out and I ate perfect and I had this great job. I want to go back and be that girl. But when we look at our reality and we go, okay, now, like, okay, fair enough. I put on some weight. I have all these kids. Like, I don't have my dream job, but I'm doing the best I can. Or do not compare yourself to that person. You're not her anymore. You have evolved and you have changed. Love yourself exactly where you are because you're perfect just the way you are. And the more we don't compare ourselves to the girl who had it all right and was doing everything right, we're just going to live in a place of discomfort and shame. Who you are now is amazing. Who you're going to become is amazing. Don't backtrack. Don't look at her and be like, oh my God, I want to be like so skinny. Look how skinny she's be. Like you're not anymore. You've evolved into this beautiful human being. Love that person that you are right now today because that's what you have. Because if you're looking backwards, we're not moving forwards. We're stuck. Loving who you are, whatever obstacles you are, we're looking at making them softer. We're looking at, how do we invite those emotions to the table? How do we be so self-aware? How do we kind of look at stress in our life and think, okay, what are some ways I can handle this? What's the music I love? Let me make some space for a bath. Let me go for a walk in the fresh air. The mom guilt thing, I'm just freaking kicking that out the door right now. Like I'm not doing that. I'm going to show up the best I can because as Helen said, the happier I am, the happier my children are. So my challenge, invest in you. Any obstacle that comes your way, get your baseball bat, knock it out the park. Just be like, I'm leaning into you. You're uncomfortable, but I'm going to make you comfort in my life. I am going to use you. You're not going to use me. So guys, that is my session kind of coming to an end right now. If you have any comments, please pop them in. Any questions, pop them in. And I'll stay for a second, but I just want to honor your space and your time. Just want to say thanks to Weevolution for this space because I love sharing my passions. I love sharing with all the self-reliant groups, any tips and tools that work for me. I'm a normal mom, being an entrepreneur, it's no joke. I juggle my passion, I juggle my work, I juggle my inner well-being every single day. I think our mental health and our well-being is just the best thing that we can take care of because it helps us show up for our business and our kids so much better. So thank you so much for coming on, everybody. Cheryl, thank you. Philip, Helen, Pam, Allison, Sharon, Jenna, Helen, Julie, Alistair, it's so lovely to see you as well. Denise, Margaret, Laura, I really appreciate all your listenership, guys. It means the world to me. So have a great Monday. I will be here again next Monday. And I think we're going to be looking at, like, really dreaming bigger, making some goals in our life and committing to the version of who we want to be. So thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. I love you, and have a great Monday. And I will see you next week at the same time. Any questions or comments, feel free to pop them in, and I will try to get back to you before next week. Talk to you soon. Bye, guys.